The alarm screamed through every corridor of Prime Mining Colony. Ara pressed her three-fingered hands against her head, trying to think through the noise and panic. Outside the command center windows, she could see them. Ships, dozens of them, all bearing the red markings of the Corsairs. "Seal the outer sectors," she ordered. Her voice shook despite her best efforts. "Get everyone to the inner shelters." Her assistant, Young, looked up from his console with wide eyes. "Administrator, they're already inside. They breached the mining tunnels." Ara felt her chest tighten. 4,000 beings lived on this colony. Workers, families, children. The people had always been peaceful. They had mining equipment, not weapons. Their security force carried stun batons meant for breaking up arguments, not fighting pirates. "Send the distress call," she said quietly. "Send it to everyone." The message went out across space, begging for help. The Galactic Coalition had to respond. They had to. That was the promise when the collective joined. Protection in exchange for membership. The reply came faster than expected. Ara read it 3 times, not believing what she saw. "Help is coming," she told her staff. "Half a cycle away." Half a cycle looked hopeful. Who? Humans? Ara pulled up the species file. Her translator struggled with some of the words. "They have a ship nearby, the UCNS Wanderer." "I've never heard of humans," said. Neither had Ara. She read the file while explosions rumbled somewhere below. Class 12. High gravity, dangerous atmosphere, apex predator evolution. The warnings made her nervous, but she had no choice. They were already herding workers toward their cargo ships. She looked at the numbers. 1 ship, 40 crew members, 40 beings against hundreds of armed pirates. "This is a mistake," she whispered, but there was no one else. Captain stood on the bridge of the Wanderer, studying the tactical display. The colony was already half occupied. Soldiers moved through the civilian areas like they owned the place. His jaw tightened. "Time to orbit?" he asked. 20 minutes at current speed," his navigator replied. "Too slow. Divert all non-essential power to engines. I want us there in 10. The ship groaned as the engines pushed beyond normal limits. Didn't care. People were dying down there. Every minute mattered. "Sir, they have superior numbers," his tactical officer said. "We're 40 against at least 500 on the ground, plus their fleet." "I can count," replied. He looked around at his crew. Some were military, some were scientists, some were engineers. All of them were human. Prep for combat drop. Everyone suits up. Executive officer raised an eyebrow. Everyone, even the research team. "Did I stutter?" Smiled. "No, sir." They had practiced this. Every human ship carried combat gear for every crew member. It was policy. The galaxy was dangerous, and humans had learned long ago that everyone needed to know how to fight. The armor felt good as sealed it on. Heavy. Protective. The helmet display lit up with information about the colony below. He could see the life signs of the civilians clustered in the shelters. He could see the spreading through the facility like an infection. "Listen up," he broadcast to the entire crew. "Those pirates think they can take whatever they want. They think nobody will stop them. Let's teach them otherwise." The drop pods were ready. Small, armored capsules that would carry them from orbit to the surface. Each pod held 1 person. It was violent, dangerous, and completely insane by galactic standards. It was also the fastest way down. "Launch," ordered. The pods fired like bullets, punching through the atmosphere. Inside his pod, felt the heat build up as friction turned the air outside into plasma. The pod shook hard enough to rattle his teeth. A normal human would have blacked out from the force. Just gritted his teeth and watched the ground rush up to meet him. The impact drove the pod 20 feet into the ground. Explosive bolts blew the door off and stepped out into chaos. Plasma fire lit up the industrial sector. Soldiers, each one twice the size of a human, were dragging workers toward their ships. The pirates wore armor and carried weapons designed to kill. Raised his rifle. "Attention forces, you are ordered to stand down and release the civilians." One of the pirates turned and laughed. It was a deep, growling sound. "One human, this is your rescue force." The pirate raised his plasma weapon. "Stupid." The plasma bolt hit Square in the chest. His armor scorched but held. The impact pushed him back 2 steps. The stopped laughing. Didn't stop. He walked forward, firing controlled bursts. The pirate went down. Others turned to face this new threat, and that was when the rest of the humans landed. 40 pods hit the ground like meteors. 40 humans emerged, weapons ready. Squad leader landed in the middle of 3 pirates. They surrounded her, confident in their numbers, picked the biggest one and charged straight at him. The pirate swung a plasma axe. It hit her shoulder armor and left a glowing mark. Didn't slow down. She caught the pirate's arm, used his own momentum, and threw all 200 kilograms of him through a prefab wall. The other 2 pirates stared in shock. Next asked. Across the complex, medic Sora was already working. She pulled a wounded worker behind cover, checking his injuries with one hand while her other hand held a pistol. When a pirate appeared around the corner, she shot him without looking away from her patient. Corporal moved through the corridors like he was hunting. 3 pirates tried to ambush him from a side room. He heard them breathing, smelled the chemical tang of their weapons charging. He was through the door before they could fire, moving in the confined space like it was built for him. In the command center, Ara watched through the security cameras. She saw humans fighting in ways that made no sense. They took hits that should have killed them and kept moving. They ran toward danger instead of away from it. They worked together with a coordination that seemed impossible. "What are they?" asked, his voice barely a whisper. Ara looked at the file again. Class 12. She finally understood what that meant. These beings came from a world so dangerous that they had to become dangerous themselves just to survive. On the ground, Captain received reports from his teams. Civilian shelters secured. Outer perimeter cleared. They were falling back, confused and scared. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the fleet," reported from the Wanderer. "They're charging orbital weapons." Looked up at the sky. The pirates were going to bombard the colony from space. They were willing to kill their own people just to stop the humans. He said calmly, "You know what to do." "With pleasure, sir." In orbit, the Wanderers spun up. The fleet was still charging their weapons when the first kinetic rounds hit. Moving at thousands of kilometers per second, the solid metal slugs punched through shields like they weren't there. 3 ships died in the first salvo. The rest of the fleet suddenly forgot about bombardment. They forgot about the colony, the loot, everything. They just wanted to get away from this ship that fought like a demon. On the ground, the remaining pirates saw their escape route closing. Some threw down their weapons. Others tried to fight. All of them learned the same lesson. You don't attack the innocent while humans are watching. The battle lasted 40 minutes from start to finish. When it ended, Ara walked through her colony in a daze. Smoke rose from damaged buildings. Scorch marks covered the walls, but her people were alive, all of them. She found Captain near the main shelter, helping repair a damaged door seal. He had removed his helmet. Ara was surprised by how ordinary he looked. Smooth skin, dark hair, 2 eyes. Nothing about him screamed danger, but she had seen what he could do. "Captain," she said softly, "I need to thank you." Looked up and smiled. It was a warm expression. "Just doing our job, Administrator." "Your job," Ara gestured at the destruction around them. "You fought 500 pirates with 40 beings. That's not a job, that's suicide." "Not for us." Went back to working on the door. His hands moved with practiced efficiency. The odds were actually in our favor. Ara didn't understand. She had seen the numbers. "How can you say that?" "Because we're human." He said it like it explained everything. Across the colony, Medic Sora worked in the medical bay. She moved between patients with gentle care, checking injuries and providing treatment. Ara watched her hands. The same hands that had shot pirates without hesitation now held a scanner with perfect steadiness. "How is everyone?" Ara asked. "3 serious injuries, all stable now," Sora replied. She didn't look up from her work. "They'll all recover fully." "And your people? I saw several humans get hit during the fighting." "4 wounded, already back on duty." Sora finally looked up. "We heal fast." Ara had read that in the file. Rapid cellular regeneration. A wound that would kill most species would slow down a human for a few days at most. "I don't understand your species," she admitted. Sora smiled. "Most don't, we're confusing. You fight like monsters but heal like angels." "We're neither," Sora returned to her patient. "We're just human." That word kept coming up. Human. Like it was both explanation and mystery. Ara found more of them throughout the colony. 2 humans were helping repair the mining equipment, their technical knowledge matching that of engineers. 3 more were setting up a defensive perimeter, just in case they came back. 1 was playing with children, making them laugh despite the fear they had just experienced. She saw Corporal sitting alone, cleaning his weapon. The corridor where he had fought showed signs of intense combat. Plasma burns, bullet holes, and dents in the metal walls. 3 pirates had tried to reach the children's shelter. They hadn't made it past him. "Corporal," Ara approached carefully, "may I ask you something?" Looked up, his face was young, maybe barely an adult by standards. "Sure." "Why did you come here, to this corridor?" "The mission plan had me clearing the eastern sector," continued cleaning his weapon. "But I heard the pirates talking. They were going after the kids, so I came here instead." "You disobeyed orders." "I adjusted priorities," he smiled slightly. "Captain would done the same thing." "You could have died." "Yeah," shrugged, "but the kids wouldn't have." Ara sat down next to him, her legs felt weak. "I watched the security footage. You fought 12 of them, alone." "Wasn't alone, had training, had equipment, had purpose." He looked at her directly. "And I had something they didn't." "What?" "A reason to win." Later, Ara sat in her office trying to make sense of reports. They had lost 89 dead and 147 captured. The humans had lost nobody. 0 deaths. It seemed impossible. Captain entered without knocking. He carried 2 cups of something steaming. "Thought you could use this," he said, offering one. "It's tea, from Earth, non-toxic to biology, I checked." Ara took it carefully. The warmth felt good in her hands. "Captain, I need to ask you something that might be rude." "Go ahead." "Are all humans like you?" "Sat down, like me how?" "Dangerous, violent, capable of," she struggled for words, "what I saw today." "Yes and no," sipped his tea. "Every human can fight if they need to. We all grow up learning how, but most of us never want to. We prefer peace." "But you're so good at war." "We had a lot of practice." His expression darkened. "We spent thousands of years fighting each other, wars that killed millions, then billions. We almost destroyed ourselves more than once." "What stopped you?" "We grew up," stared into his cup. "We realized we could either keep killing each other or work together to reach the stars. We chose the stars, but we didn't forget how to fight. We just changed what we fight for." Ara drank her tea. It was bitter but pleasant. "The Galactic Coalition has never seen anything like your species." "I know, we've been reading the reports. Some species are scared of us." "Can you blame them?" "No," looked tired suddenly. "We are scary. Our world made us that way. Earth is a nightmare by galactic standards. High gravity, extreme weather, dangerous predators, toxic plants, aggressive microorganisms. Just living there requires being tough." "But you're also kind," Ara said. "I saw your medic treating wounded pirates, the same pirates who tried to kill her." "That's also human," replied. We can be cruel or kind, strong or gentle, violent or peaceful. We choose which one based on the situation. How do we know you'll make the right choice? Met her eyes. The same way we know you will. We have laws, morals, values. We believe in protecting the innocent and stopping the guilty. That's why we came when you called. There was a knock on the door. Squad leader entered. Sir, we've secured all the prisoners. What do you want us to do with them? Feed them, give them medical care, and prepare them for transfer to coalition authorities, said. Standard prisoner protocols. Nodded and left. Ara stared. You're going to take care of them. They're prisoners, not animals, said simply. We treat them according to interstellar law. After what they did, especially after what they did, stood up. We're not like the administrator. We don't hurt people just because we can. We only fight when we have to, and when the fight is over, we follow the rules. Ara watched him leave. She pulled up the Earth file again, reading more carefully this time. The history was violent beyond imagination. Wars, genocides, disasters, but also art, music, philosophy. They had created beauty even while destroying themselves. She found a note at the bottom of the file, a warning added by the coalition team. Humans are capable of extreme violence and extreme compassion. They are most dangerous not when they are angry, but when they are protecting something they love. Through her window, Ara could see the humans working alongside her people, laughing together, sharing food, acting like old friends despite just meeting. Her communicator buzzed. It was a message from Coalition Command. They wanted a full report on the human response. Other species were asking questions. Dozens of planets wanted to know more about these newcomers who fought like demons but acted like neighbors. Ara began writing. She tried to explain what she had seen, but words felt inadequate. How could she describe beings who fell from space in metal coffins, who charged into battle against impossible odds, who treated enemies with mercy and children with gentleness? She finally wrote, "The humans are not what we expected. They are more dangerous and more kind than our database suggested. They are exactly what the coalition needs." The video spread across the galaxy like fire. Someone on Prime had recorded the battle. Now trillions of beings watched humans fight for the first time. The footage showed everything. The drop pods falling like meteors, the humans walking through plasma fire. The way they moved, fast and precise and terrifying. The Council of Elders watched in silence. When the video ended, nobody spoke for a long time. Are they always like this? Eldarin asked finally. According to Administrator Ara, yes, his aide replied. She says this was a normal response for them. Normal, and felt cold. They think orbital drops in close combat are normal. They do, Elder. And looked at the paused image on the screen. A human standing in a corridor, surrounded by unconscious pirates. We need to discuss this. But they weren't the only ones watching. On the fleet flagship, Commander watched the footage 12 times. Each time she saw something new. The way humans didn't retreat. The way they seemed to feel no fear. The way they hunted. Send a message to all vessels, she ordered. New priority directive. If you encounter human ships, do not engage. Retreat immediately. Her first officer looked shocked. Commander, the Corsairs have never fled from anyone. We've never fought before, closed the video. These beings come from a world that tried to kill them every day. They survived by being more dangerous than everything else. We raid colonies because it's easy profit. They fight because that's what their evolution made them do. You sound afraid of them. I am, met his eyes, and you should be too. Halfway across the galaxy, the Kelvin Sovereignty Military Command watched the same footage. They were the Coalition's main military force. Their soldiers were trained, disciplined, and professional. They had protected the Coalition for 3 centuries. General paused the video on a human carrying an injured while shooting at pirates. Analysis. Frightening, sir. his tactical advisor said. They fight with an aggression we've never encountered. No retreat protocols, minimal defensive positions, constant forward pressure. Could we stop them if they turned hostile? The advisor hesitated. Unknown, sir. We would need to completely revise our combat doctrine. Everything we know about warfare assumes beings value their own survival above mission completion. Humans seem to reverse that priority. Didn't like that answer. The Kelvin sovereignty had been the strongest military force in the coalition. Now these newcomers showed up and made them look weak. Keep monitoring them. I want to know everything about human military capabilities. On Earth, Ambassador sat in his office, reading reports from across the coalition. The responses to Prime were divided. Some species saw humans as saviors, others saw them as weapons. A few saw them as threats. His communicator buzzed. It was the Coalition Council requesting a meeting. They wanted explanations. They wanted assurances. They wanted to know if humans were going to be a problem. Sighed, this was going to be complicated. Meanwhile, Aura had traveled to Earth. She needed to understand these beings who saved her colony. The ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the Sol system, and she saw Earth for the first time. Blue and white and beautiful, it looked peaceful from space. That's a Class 12, she asked the pilot. According to the database, yes, the pilot replied. Shall I take us down? The landing site was near a major city. Ara stepped off the ship and immediately felt wrong. The gravity was crushing. Each step felt like carrying extra weight. The air was so thick with oxygen it made her dizzy. Administrator Ara, a human woman, approached. I'm Ambassador's assistant. Welcome to Earth. Ara tried to stand straight despite the gravity. How do you live here? The woman smiled. We're used to it. Come on, we have gravity adjusters in the building. The next few days were strange. Showed her around Earth, trying to explain humanity. They visited a hospital where humans dedicated their lives to healing others. They visited a memorial to a war that had killed millions. They visited a nature preserve where humans worked to bring back extinct species. Your contradictions, Ara said during a dinner. You create beauty and destruction in equal measure. We're complicated, agreed, but so is every species really. Not like this. Ara gestured at the city outside. You built weapons capable of destroying your entire planet, then chose not to use them. You fought wars that killed billions, then unified into one government. You're the most violent and most peaceful species I've ever encountered. We had to be both to survive, poured more water. Our world didn't give us a choice. And now that you're in space, now we choose what we want to be, smiled. We choose to protect people like you. Ara wanted to believe him, but that night she had nightmares about what would happen if humans chose differently. In a dark corner of space, far from Coalition territory, the Dominion watched the Prime footage with interest. The Dominion was an empire that believed in strength. They conquered worlds and enslaved populations. The Coalition had always been too weak to stop them. Now the Coalition had humans. Emperor watched the battle footage with his generals. What do you think? He asked. One ship, Majesty, General K said. 40 soldiers. This was a small force dealing with pirates. It proves nothing about their real military strength. You think they're not a threat? I think they're new to space, Majesty. How much military infrastructure could they possibly have? This was probably their best ship and best warriors. The Coalition is using them as a scare tactic. Considered this. The Dominion had been planning to test Coalition resolve with an attack on their border stations. The humans changed the calculation, but maybe not by much. Prepare the fleet, he ordered. We'll hit Threshold Station as planned. If these humans try to stop us, we'll see how brave they really are when facing a real military force. Back on Earth, Ara attended a Coalition Council meeting via hologram. The debate was fierce. Some species wanted to limit human military power. Others wanted to make humans the coalition's primary defense. We cannot allow one species to have this much combat capability, a elder argued. It creates an imbalance. An imbalance that saved my colony, Ara shot back. She had become humanity's strongest defender. 4,000 of our people are alive because humans responded. Today they saved you, another counselor said. Tomorrow they might conquer you. They had weapons that could level our entire colony, Ara replied. They used them to protect us instead. That tells you who they are. The debate continued for hours. Ara defended humans until her translator overheated. Some counselors listened, others didn't. Finally, Ambassador was allowed to speak. He stood before the council, calm and composed. We didn't join the coalition to dominate it, he said. We joined because we were tired of being alone. Yes, we're dangerous. Our world made us that way, but we're also capable of incredible kindness. We choose to use our strength to protect those who can't protect themselves. That's not a threat, that's a promise. The council voted on whether to restrict human military operations. The vote was close, but restrictions were not passed. Humans would remain equal members of the coalition. But in deep space, the fleet was already moving. 200 warships heading toward Threshold Station. The Dominion was about to learn what happened when you attacked the coalition while humans were watching. And humanity was about to show the galaxy what really meant. Threshold Station sat on the edge of coalition space, a massive structure built to watch for threats. When the Dominion fleet appeared, alarms screamed through every deck. Commander N, a Kelvin officer, watched 200 enemy warships drop out of faster-than-light travel. His station had 12 ships and 3,000 defenders. The numbers were bad. Send distress signals to all coalition forces, he ordered. We need reinforcements immediately. Nearest coalition fleet is 6 hours away, sir, his communications officer reported. 6 hours, they would be dead in one. The fleet moved into attack formation. Their ships were massive, built for conquest. The Dominion had spent centuries perfecting warfare. They knew what they were doing. Incoming transmission, the communications officer said. A noble appeared on screen. He wore ornate armor and looked pleased with himself. Coalition Station, this is Lord N of the Dominion. Surrender now and we will spare your lives. Resist and we will destroy you. Commander N straightened his uniform. The coalition does not surrender to invaders. You will leave our territory immediately or face consequences. N laughed. Consequences? You have 12 ships, we have 200. Your math is poor, Commander. We have allies. You mean the humans? N smiled. Yes, we've seen the prime footage, very impressive, but that was one ship against pirates. We are the Dominion, we have never lost a war. The transmission cut off. A moment later, the fleet opened fire. The battle was brutal. Coalition ships fought with everything they had, but the numbers were overwhelming. One by one, they fell. N's flagship took hit after hit. Hull breaches on multiple decks. Life support failing. Weapon systems damaged. Sir, we can't hold much longer, his tactical officer said. And knew they had fought for 50 minutes. They had done their duty, but it wasn't enough. Prepare to evacuate the station, he ordered. Get the civilians to the escape pods. Sir, we're detecting faster-than-light signatures, the sensor operator called out. Multiple contacts incoming. N's chest tightened. If they had reinforcements, this was over. But the ships that appeared weren't. They were human. Not one ship this time, not 40 people. An entire fleet dropped into normal space. 12 massive capital ships, each one bristling with weapons. 40 destroyers, smaller but deadly. 30 support vessels carrying troops and supplies. This is Fleet Admiral of the United Colonies of Earth, a voice broadcast on all channels. Dominion Fleet, you have violated coalition space and attacked our allies. Stand down immediately. Lord N appeared on the screen again. He still looked confident. Admiral, you are outnumbered 2-1. Your ships are smaller than ours. Leave now and we will forget this happened. Admiral sat in her command chair on the dreadnought Indomitable. She was 60 years old with gray hair and calm eyes. She looked at N like he was something stuck to her boot. You invaded our allies, she said quietly. That's a mistake. You're still here. That's a fatal mistake. She closed the channel and looked at her crew. All ships, engage at will. Target their command vessels first. Show them what happens when they attack the coalition. The human fleet didn't move like coalition forces. Coalition doctrine emphasized defensive formations and long-range precision strikes. Humans charged straight in. The Indomitable led the attack. It's firing solid metal slugs at incredible speed. The rounds punched through shields like paper. 3 enemy ships exploded in the first 30 seconds. They're not even using energy weapons, Commander N watched in amazement. Just kinetic projectiles. Cheaper, faster, harder to defend against, his tactical officer replied, and apparently very effective. The human destroyers moved through the battlefield like sharks. They were faster than ships, more maneuverable. They used the asteroid field near the station as cover, appearing and disappearing, striking and retreating. One destroyer, the Defiant, took heavy fire from 3 cruisers. The ship's hull glowed red from plasma impacts. Any coalition ship would have retreated to make repairs. The Defiant accelerated toward the nearest cruiser and rammed it. Both ships took massive damage, but the Defiant's reinforced hull was designed for this. The human crew survived. The didn't. They're insane, and whispered. No, his first officer said, they're winning. The tried to adapt. They focused fire on individual human ships, trying to overwhelm them one at a time. It didn't work. Human ships fought in coordinated groups, covering each other, rotating damaged vessels to the rear while fresh ones took point. And when boarding parties tried to capture damaged human ships, they learned why that was a terrible idea. The soldiers breached the destroyer Rising Sun through the damaged cargo bay. 40 heavily armed warriors rushed inside, expecting to find a crippled crew. Instead, they found squad leader and 30 human marines waiting for them. The fight lasted 3 minutes. The wore full environmental suits and moved carefully through the vacuum-exposed sections. The humans wore lighter armor and moved like they were born in zero gravity. Led his squad through the damaged corridors, using the lack of gravity to their advantage. They bounced off walls, used debris as cover, and coordinated their attacks with hand signals since radio was blocked by the ship's damaged systems. One warrior, bigger and stronger than any human, challenged them directly. He was 7 feet tall with cybernetic enhancements, a noble warrior with decades of combat experience. Private took the challenge. She was 22 years old and had been in the military for 6 months. The warrior laughed at her. The fight was short, used her smaller size to get inside his reach. She used his own strength against him, redirecting his attacks. She used techniques humans had developed fighting each other for thousands of years. When it was over, the noble was unconscious and was helping her squad secure the rest of the boarding party. Targets secured, reported. Rising Sun is ours. In the main battle, they were learning that numbers didn't matter as much as they thought. Human ships were smaller, but they fought smarter. They used tactics the Dominion had never seen. Feints, ambushes, coordinated strikes that seemed impossible without telepathy. How are they doing this? Lord N demanded. How are they coordinating so perfectly? His tactical officer checked the scans. They're using tight beam communications, faster-than-light data sharing, and something called tactical AI. Their computers are helping them predict our movements. Computers, they let machines help them fight. And it's working, my lord. It was. The human fleet had destroyed 40 ships and captured 12 more. The Dominion had managed to destroy only 3 human vessels, and even those crews had evacuated safely. N looked at the tactical display. His confidence was gone. This is impossible. We outnumber them. Numbers don't matter if you can't hit them, my lord, his officer said quietly. Admiral watched the battle from the Indomitable. The fleet was breaking. Some ships were retreating. Others were trying to surrender. The ones still fighting were being picked off systematically. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from Lord N, her communications officer said. Put him on. N appeared and he looked different now, scared. Admiral, we surrender. Please cease fire. You came here to conquer, said. You attacked civilians. You invaded sovereign space. We made a mistake. We didn't know. You didn't know we'd fight back, leaned forward. That's the problem with bullies. You only pick on people you think are weak. Well, the coalition isn't weak anymore. We're here now. What do you want? I want you to go home. I want you to tell your emperor what happened here. I want every ship in the Dominion to know that if they attack the coalition, they attack humanity, and humanity doesn't lose. She closed the channel and looked at her crew. Let them go. The ones that survived can be messengers. The fleet limped away, carrying 50% casualties. They had come expecting an easy victory. They got a nightmare instead. Commander and watched the human fleet regroup. They had saved Threshold Station, saved 3,000 coalition lives, and they had done it while making it look easy. Send a message to Coalition Command, he ordered. Tell them the humans aren't just allies, they're exactly what we need. The Coalition Council chamber was packed. Representatives from 300 species gathered to discuss one topic, humanity. The battle at Threshold Station had changed everything. Some species wanted humans as their primary defense. Others wanted them restricted. A few wanted them expelled completely. Ara stood in the viewing gallery, watching the debate. Next to her stood Captain, who had been asked to attend as a witness. They're scared of you, she said quietly. I know, replied. Can you blame them? No, but fear makes people stupid. Down on the floor, an elder was speaking. We cannot allow one species to hold this much military power. What happened at Threshold was impressive but also terrifying. 80 ships destroyed in 2 hours. That's not defense. That's domination. Another voice called out. Those ships were attacking us. The humans saved thousands of lives. Today they save us, the elder replied. What about tomorrow? What happens when they decide they don't need the coalition anymore? The debate went on like this for hours. Ara watched species that had never agreed on anything suddenly united in their fear of humanity. Others defended the humans just as strongly. Finally, Ambassador was called to speak. He walked to the center of the chamber, and the room fell silent. I've listened to your concerns, he began, and I understand them. Humans are dangerous. We won't deny that. Our world made us survivors, and survival required violence. But here's what you need to understand. He looked around the chamber, meeting as many eyes as he could. We didn't join the coalition to conquer it. We joined because we were tired of being alone. For our entire history, we thought we were the only intelligent life in the universe. Then we discovered faster-than-light travel and found you. All of you. Thousands of species, millions of worlds, living together in peace. His voice grew stronger. Do you know what that meant to us? We spent fighting ourselves, wars that killed billions. We almost destroyed our own planet multiple times. And then we found the coalition and saw what we could have if we chose differently. Peace, cooperation, a future where we didn't have to fight. But you still fight, the elder said. You fight better than anyone. We fight when we have to, agreed. When pirates attack defenseless colonies, when empires invade peaceful stations, we fight to protect others, not to conquer them. There's a difference. How do we know you won't change your minds? Another counselor asked. How do we know you won't turn on us? The same way we know you won't turn on us, replied. Trust, law, shared values. We're part of the coalition now. We follow the same rules as everyone else. We vote on the same laws. We pay the same dues. The only difference is that we're really good at defending what we care about. Admiral stepped forward. She hadn't been scheduled to speak, but she did anyway. I've spent 40 years in military service. I've seen what happens when good people can't defend themselves. Pirates raid them. Empires conquer them. They suffer because they chose peace and nobody protected that choice. She looked around the chamber. You built this coalition on principles of cooperation and mutual defense, but defense requires defenders. You can restrict us, limit us, fear us, or you can work with us. Your choice. But know this, we didn't become strong to threaten you. We became strong because our world didn't give us another option. Now we choose to use that strength for you. The chamber was silent. Then Aura stood up in the gallery. I would like to speak. The council recognized her. She walked down to the floor, her legs still shaky in the standard gravity. 3 months ago, my colony was attacked, she began. 4,000 of my people faced death. I sent a distress call praying someone would help. The humans answered, 40 of them against 500 pirates. They should have died. Instead, they saved us. She looked at the elder. You ask what happens if humans turn on us. I ask, what happens if we turn on them? What happens when the next crisis comes and they don't respond because we made them feel unwelcome? How many will die because we were too afraid to accept help? This is different, the elder began. No, it's not, Ara interrupted. Humans are different from us. They're stronger, more aggressive, more dangerous. But they're also kind, loyal, and willing to die for strangers. I watched a human medic treat wounded enemies with the same care she gave to my people. I watched human soldiers defend our children like they were their own. That's who they are. The chamber erupted into discussion. Species argued with each other, voices rising and falling. The council chair called for order multiple times. Finally, they voted. The measure to restrict human military operations failed. Barely, but it failed. Humans would remain equal members of the coalition with full rights and responsibilities. After the vote found Ara in a hallway. Thank you, he said. Your speech made the difference. I just told the truth. Ara looked tired. But not everyone believed me. Half the council still fears you. That's okay. We'll prove ourselves over time. What if you can't? What if something goes wrong? Smiled sadly. Then we'll deal with it, but we're going to try. That's all anyone can do. Months passed. The coalition adjusted to having humans as full partners. It wasn't always smooth. Human ships patrolled borders that had been undefended for years. Human soldiers trained coalition forces in combat techniques. Human engineers improved defensive systems. Some species welcomed the help, others resented it, but slowly trust began to build. The Dominion never attacked again. They had learned their lesson. So had the Corsairs, who now avoided coalition space entirely. Other threats emerged, but each time humans responded. On Prime, the colony had been completely rebuilt, better than before, stronger. Ara stood in the command center, watching human engineers work alongside miners. They laughed together, shared meals, told stories. Captain visited occasionally. His ship still patrolled the sector, making sure nobody threatened the colony again. Medic Sara had started teaching at the local medical academy, sharing human techniques with doctors. Ara recorded a message for her family. She wanted them to understand what had happened, what humanity meant. I was wrong about the humans, she said into the recorder. I thought they were monsters or saviors. They're neither. They're people who evolved on a world that demanded they become strong to survive. Every day, their planet tried to kill them. The gravity, the weather, the predators, everything. They survived by becoming more dangerous than anything else on their world. She paused, choosing her words carefully. But here's what makes them special. Now that they don't have to fight for survival anymore, they choose to fight for others. They could have used their strength to conquer. Instead, they use it to protect. That's what makes them truly dangerous, not their weapons or their training, but their choice to help those who can't help themselves. Through the window, she saw a new ship entering orbit. Not human, not coalition. Unknown design. Her alarm started beeping. Possible threat. She watched as Captain got the alert. He stood up from where he'd been sitting with some miners, grabbed his helmet, and headed for his ship. Sara was already moving, checking her medical supplies even as she ran. They didn't hesitate, didn't complain, just moved to face whatever was coming. Ara smiled. The unknown ship might be hostile, it might be friendly. Either way, she knew the colony would be safe. Because humans didn't abandon their allies. The ship turned out to be explorers from beyond Coalition space, peaceful and curious. But Ara learned something important that day. The galaxy was huge and full of unknown threats. The Coalition would face challenges in the years to come. But they wouldn't face them alone. They had allies who dropped from orbit to save strangers, who fought against impossible odds because it was the right thing to do, who chose kindness when they could have chosen cruelty. They had humans. And that changed everything.